Hello. Today I wanted to talk to you about applying multiple extensible data security or XDS policies to the same role. The first thing you want to do is to determine which XDS policies you want to apply. In my test scenario here, I'm going to apply the XDS policies to both the vendor and customer records and restrict those to only being able to see vendors and customers that have a group of 10. So in my case, I first start off with a customer and vendor group query. In this case, you can see that I'm going off of the cus group. I have a range set for a cus group of 10, and the same thing for the vendor. So if I open this up, you'll be able to see that I have the ven group in this case set for a value of 10. So my queries in this case are both going to select vendors and customers that have a group of 10. The next thing you'd want to do is to create a policy for each of your queries. So I have a vendor group policy and a customer group policy. In this case, at the top level, you can see in this vendor group policy, I'm going to set the primary table as the ven group, my query as that vendor group query that we just created. I'm going to set the operation to all operations, and the context string I'm going to use in this case is going to be called group XDS policy, and I'm going to set the context type to role property. What this means is that any role that has a security policy string set to group XDS policy will have this policy applied to it. And we can see the same thing if we go over to the customer group policy here as well. The same, we're going to be using the cus group for the primary table in this case. We're going to use the customer group query as our query. We're still going to be using all operations, and we're going to again set the context string to group XDS policy. By having both of these policies both have the same context string, when I create my role in this case, I'm going to assign two duties to it: the customers maintain, vendor master maintain. In this way, I'm allowing full control to vendor and customers. But at the top level here, I'm going to set the context string equal to group XDS policy. So what does this look like in practice? The first thing we're going to do is look at an administrative instance of F&O here. If I look at the vendors in this case, you're going to be able to see that I have a number of different vendors with a number of different groups, some of them being group 10, which is what we'll restrict to later. And the same thing from the customer side. On the customer side, I believe I only have one customer in this legal entity that has a cus group of 10. So you can see we have this active transport, that's a cus group of 10. We're also going to look at the users here. So we can go in and assign the FastPath user we're going to use in this case. We'll go ahead and assign it the FP group XDS role that we created earlier. All right. So once that's set up, we can go ahead and now log in as that user. So we'll go ahead and bring this over. So now we're logged in as that FastPath user in this case. When I go to vendors and customers now, though, you'll notice that I do not have, as this user, I only have access to those customers that have, or in this case the vendors, have a group of 10, and the same thing from the customer side. So you can see that in this case, both XDS policies are being applied to this user because this user is assigned a role that has the same context string as the security policies that we have set up. Hopefully this shows you the process of how you would go through and set up multiple XDS security policies to apply to the same security role within D365F&O. Thank you for watching.